Hello, BS Squad. Welcome to the BS Podcast. I am your host just for today, Katie. If this is your first time listening, we are so excited to have you. Thank you for tuning in and hanging out with us. We've got a very special guest that I am so excited to introduce you to. But if you are someone who constantly listens, thank you for coming back, hanging out. As you noticed, Pastor Dale and Jeremy are not here, but I promise they'll be back on our next episode. But today we're going to be getting into quite a few really in-depth topics. A lot of you have probably either dealt with one of these or maybe you're someone that can connect with Amy on all of them. But Amy has been through infertility and IVF journeys. She has 6 beautiful children. And one of her children, Avonlea, who is an angel from above, she has Rett syndrome, which if you don't know much about that, you're going to learn a ton today. And Amy also homeschools. So she's a mom of 6 homeschooling, and her husband have traveled quite a bit with Army and medical background. So there's just so many things. But honestly, I just am so excited to introduce you guys to honestly my biggest hero, big sister, which I don't know if you guys could tell or not. Probably not. We look like twins. But this is Amy, you guys. So you're going to get a treat today. And I know that this is going to add value. So I know we're trying to, not make this too long and too sister giggly for all of you listeners out there, but I'm all smiles because it's just, we've talked about this and I'm so excited to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me on.
So let's just get into, obviously we could go way childhood and talk about many things, but let's fast forward a little today. Let's start with just the fact that you always knew you wanted to be a mom. Did you know from I know the answer to this, but you knew from a young age.
I did. I always wanted to be a mom. And I think the thing that made me really want to be a mom was being your sister first, because I remember going to the hospital and just falling in love with you. And that same feeling I had when I was a big sister, I had with all the kids I've had, that just love. So I definitely wanted to be a mom.
Yeah. Well, and if you are listening and you know Amy from childhood, you knew that she's the baby and the kid whisperer. Kids just love Amy. She loves kids. She did children's church for, I don't even know how many years that was, but it was a lot. And the kids just adored Amy because you just have so much love to give them and you're so patient. And you were a loving and patient big sister. So you always knew you wanted to have kids. You and Alex got married.
We did.
Alex was going into the military. So walk us through, you guys started trying to have kids. What did that journey look like? How long was it into when you guys were maybe something is off? Walk us through that.
Yeah. Got married and we didn't ever try and not have kids. We were always trying from the time we got married.
Yeah.
They say, if you haven't been able to have kids within a year, go see your doctor. So I did. I had a surgery for endometriosis. That was kind of what they said. We'll do a laparoscopic surgery.
Was this after 1 year?
Yes. Okay. This is after 1 year. And so we did that. And they said, if you're not pregnant within 6 months, you're probably going to need to move to fertility treatments after that. And so I had the surgery. 6 months later, still no baby. And so at that point, it was a year and a half. And then we got stationed in Korea.
Okay.
So
during that time, though, if there's somebody that's listening that is desperately wanting kids, what's something that not a lot of people maybe realize, or is there something that someone said or didn't say that would have helped? Just educate us a little bit.
I would say it's really painful to want a child and be denied that, it's something that you had hoped for. And it seems like it's easy for other people. So you just assume your expectations are, my expectations were that it would just happen right away easily, but I would probably say the waiting was really hard. And I think I needed to learn I wasn't in control.
Was there any like resentment during that season? Like, did you see people around you like getting pregnant and like you want to be happy for them, but you also like, was there anything like that?
I think for the most part, I was really happy for people, but for some reason there would be certain people where I do think like, I would be like, well, I think in my heart of hearts, maybe it was pride. Like I would be a better mom or there, it wasn't like healthy for me to have that. But I think for the most part I was happy, but also it made you really sad to, have something be so hard that other people don't have to think twice about.
Yeah, definitely.
Looking back, of course, you can say like it was definitely for my good.
I'm sure
but when you're in it, you don't feel that way.
Do you remember anybody like, was it painful when people would ask you like, are you guys like gonna have kids anytime? Was there ever anything like that? Or
I think people pretty much knew that we really wanted kids and it just wasn't happening.
Yeah.
So I don't remember being like any one particular thing that was said that really hurt. I think people were really, really supportive.
Yeah.
Really
Good.
sweet.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for anybody who's like, if they do know someone or if they are going through it themselves?
I mean, for infertility, there's a lot of different routes to go. I will say like one thing I wish we had done was, initially our doctors just told us kind of go to IVF if this doesn't work. And adoption wasn't possible where we were stationed in
South Korea.
Yes.
Okay.
We had done paperwork to do foster care. That didn't, we got moved, so it didn't really work out. I think if people are wanting to do IVF particularly, I would say you can be more, ask good questions. Don't just let the doctors kind of push you a certain direction one way or the other. I wish we had, there was a language barrier too, because it was Korea, but I wish we had been asked a little bit more questions.
Ooh, like what?
So our first round of IVF, you do all the hormones, then they have the retrieval, and it didn't work at all. They didn't get anything. And so it's a lot of work. It's, 3 or 4 months of hormone shots. And I was kind of thinking like there must be something else that's really wrong. But I think they gave the wrong medication.
Oh, no.
I know.
I don't remember this.
Yes. Yeah. So then the
How
second time.
discouraging.
Yeah. Today, now people can, I think, just do like, if you're only wanting 2 kids, just make 2 embryos instead of, we had a good amount. That's why we have so many kids, because they are babies and we are going to, give them a chance at life. But it just wasn't even talked about. It was just,
wow,
we'll do what we think is gonna.
I didn't know that either. Okay. So, and this is like something that I know you're passionate about because obviously you're very pro-life, and a lot of pro-life organizations have a lot of like really hard and sometimes harsh things to say about IVF. What's your, just share your opinions and thoughts on that.
Yeah. I think maybe if I hadn't have gone through it myself, I might be harsh too. I believe life does begin at conception. So I think embryos are babies. And even at the clinic, they referred to them as babies, your babies. So they are. I think anything can be used for good or bad. And I think the wanting of a family is a good thing. I think family is a blessing. But just like anything, I think it has to be prayed over, thought about, and ultimately, like, they are lives. Like they should be taken care of, not discarded, not, not stored away for years. So if you do it, you need to be able to give them life.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. I know that there is a lot of harshness about the industry because it's just kind of the wild, wild west out there. And it does need help. It's not it's not a always healthy environment that babies are being brought into. And
now this is like a hard question, but I definitely want to ask you, what about like the Christian who, never went through infertility and they have these hard opinions about IVF and they say, well, why don't you just adopt? What would you say to like that mentality?
Yeah, I think adoption is great. It's not just adopt, I think too. I think it's very, no matter what, adoption is, it's not simple. And neither is IVF.
Right.
And not everybody is supposed to adopt. Not everybody, but we can all support people who adopt. That's a hard one because there are kids that need, homes. And I think it's easy to say to the infertile couple, just adopt, but that's not always what they're supposed to do. Every family is unique and they have to make their own choices about what route they want to pursue. And
absolutely. Yeah. I love that too. Like the more things you've been through and the more people I talk to, especially like Christians that have been through so much, it's almost like God slowly strips away certain things like you, and I know we'll get into this, but one thing you always said was, I could definitely do foster care. I could adopt, but one thing I probably couldn't do is help a medically fragile child.
Yeah.
That was something where you're like, I'm just not equipped to do that. So, which kind of brings me into the next piece of your story. So you had Levi and then the twins, Evan and Parker.
Yes.
And then Avonlea was a total surprise because you weren't going through IVF during this time. So walk us through Avonlea's piece of the story.
So Avonlea is our special girl. She was our surprise. Got pregnant with her. Our oldest wasn't 4 by the time she was born. So we had 4 under 4 for a few weeks.
Not for the faint of heart.
Yeah. And I remember, when we were going through infertility, filling out that paperwork, and there's boxes that you would check, like that you wouldn't feel comfortable. And I remember like the medically needy kids, I hit, no. I just felt I don't have a medical background. How could I take care of, I'm not equipped. I'm not called. I'm not, I'm not this or that. And then Avonlea was born, and she was born healthy and pretty normal for the first 4 or 5 months. Nothing was awry. And then she stopped meeting milestones and eventually started regressing. So things that she could do, like maybe hold a sippy cup. She lost the use of her hands, lost the use of swallowing. The few words that she learned, she lost those. So she became our medical child, and we didn't know what was going on. But yeah, it is interesting to think that if she wasn't born to us, I would have said no to the best thing that's happened to our family. So I'm so glad that God gave us Avonlea, because I wouldn't have chosen it, but I needed her. Our family needed her.
Yeah. She's, like you say, a little slice of heaven.
Yes, she is.
But like, obviously we'll get more into that. But for the family that's walking through like the unknown, like you start to notice something is off about, like, walk us through, like, what did that look like for you guys? Like, that was probably one of your hardest seasons.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was. I think in my mind, since I'd had 3 boys, I just kept thinking, maybe girls are just different, like, they're just a little bit more laid back. And she was just so laid back, we'd try and get her to roll, and she never really did. I knew something wasn't quite right, but babies learn so much. It just seems like overnight they can learn a new skill, and she just was falling more and more behind. I think at her 6-month appointment, the doctor's like, yep, girls are just a little bit slower to meet milestones. But by 9 months, I took her to the pediatrician and she recommended early intervention services. So it's like physical therapy. She was very engaged. She had great eye contact. She's never lost that, thankfully. But the unknown, kind of waiting for the diagnosis, it's hard because you're just watching, you're doing everything you can, but watching them lose skills, and not know what's wrong. Taking them to the doctor's not really knowing. Yeah. So we're doing all the therapies, doing all the appointments. And also this was around COVID too. So waiting was long. Getting into doctors was long. And we got into genetics finally. And another part of that story is just how God brought so many great people into our life. Like all of her therapists were so wonderful and supportive. Our neighbors, we were in and out of the hospital too because seizures started.
And Avonlea was about 2 at this.
She was, a little like from about 1 to 2. We still didn't have any answers, but she was losing skills, not progressing despite like doing all the therapies. Every second she was awake, I was working with her to try and get her to sit or, it was it's really hard for parents who don't have an answer, and they're just watching their child and not knowing what's happening. Alex also was in medical school. And it was COVID. So he was like home trying to do, it wasn't I look back and I'm so thankful for the boys and just how funny they were.
I'm pretty sure during that, what did they call it when they emptied out your entire pantry, the garbage pile?
Food volcano.
Yes. You came out to them just literally having emptied
emptied our entire pantry, our entire fridge,
opened
into
cans
a big pile.
Somehow.
Yes, like every food item.
So the twins were in their naked era.
Yes, potty training twins. Yeah,
it's like God knew you needed a little bit of
I needed
the
those
humor
distractions. Yep.
I remember specifically, like before you got the diagnosis, you said like this is one of the worst things it could be. Like I remember you like saying, I'm worried about it being Rett syndrome. And I think there was maybe another one that you were really worried about too, but you were like, I think it's going to be either of these. Like,
because as the mom, you're just trying to figure out what is going on, what's going on, what is happening, why isn't she developing, why is she'd just get so tired she couldn't like sit up, her eyes would be red underneath, and so we took her to genetics, and the genetics doctor was like, I think it's mitochondrial disease. And I didn't know what that was, but it's in little ones, it has like a 3 to 5 year lifespan. It was not very long. So I was like, it fits, but it kind of doesn't. I was like, I think it might be. I saw this one little girl on Instagram and she reminds me so much of Avonlea. I was like, I think it's this, even though she didn't quite fit the criteria. They say you have to fit this criteria. But I do remember seeing like they lose the use of their hands. They can't speak. They lose their swallowing. They have seizures. They lose the ability to walk, talk. But they're aware and they know what's going on. And I just remember, thinking this is the worst thing I could possibly think of for my little girl. Sorry. But she's the best thing to happen to us.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be able to see that or know that just looking at the criteria for what it is. Doctors can't tell you the love you feel that they bring.
So before you for sure got that, you had this like, I know like, obviously the Bible tells us over and over, like not to worry, but how do you not? How does a parent not worry about like how it's like impossible, but is there like anything during that time that was like a comfort to you that you can remember?
Yes. Honestly, that is when I started reading history. And well, I read a little bit here and there, but not quite like that. I couldn't enjoy the things that I did before. I couldn't listen to anything that I did before. It was a dark time.
Yeah.
But I just remember reading history, and I remember reading about any person in history. They have hard things. And if they didn't, they're not going to be in history because they were too boring to read about. But it's in someone's life, something that hard is just a little snippet of their life, and they can go on and live full lives, but everybody goes through hard things, everybody. So it was really helpful to read history for me, like biographies and
Which one was your favorite if you had to pick? Like
like Theodore Roosevelt was really good.
I thought you were gonna say Teddy Roosevelt.
Any figure in history, they all have like hard things.
I also remember, and this is something where I think there's only so much, like, people on the outside, like, we can look and have empathy, but like one thing I remember thinking, just your perspective being totally, it was changed in so many ways, obviously, but you at one point said, I'm actually so grateful that this has happened before she hit certain milestones. Like, you see it happening to like little girls that are 6, 7, 8. And you said, I'm really glad that didn't, like, she didn't lose, she lost things, but it was more like she grew and it was a part of her almost.
She,
like
with Rett syndrome, the earlier you lose skills or don't develop them to lose them, they have a more severe type, but they don't usually have like the screaming, like, so
angry.
part of the regression is like, they know they've had a skill. I know they've had a skill, and then they know they're losing it. They can't do it anymore. Their body won't cooperate. So they sometimes will be misdiagnosed with autism. And Avonlea, she never ever had any of that. She never, they'll lose eye contact for a time and be kind of unresponsive, and then just scream and cry. I mean, every girl is different. It's actually mostly girls, but some boys can have it. 1 in 10,000 is the stat. But I am grateful that she never lost the eye contact, that she didn't have to scream and cry trying to walk and things like that. It was just,
she's so peaceful. Like, she's like, she laughs, and she's she's still so good at making eye contact. Yeah, but it probably, like, if you aren't around it and you hear someone say that, it's just crazy how much God had to, you have to be shifted and, like, change your expectations, and you've been so good at that. But was there ever, like, a time where you were really angry with God or questioning things?
No, I never actually have ever been angry. And I think Alex, my husband, helped me, like, right from the beginning. He was like, we've had everything so good. Like, why can't we accept the bad with the good? Like, this is okay. And I think that helped have that mindset that, it's part of our story. And knowing Avonlea, she's never been, she makes it happy. Every day with Avonlea is a good day, but no, anger's not ever one of the emotions I've actually felt. Like sadness, of course. Lots of grief, and there's always going to be a little bit of, like, we call it ninja grief, where, like, you feel good, you feel fine, but like, you'll see something and it hurts a little, and you don't expect it to. Like,
can you tell people, like, one of the things that was a ninja grief for you?
Yeah. If I can keep it together for a little bit.
Where's the Kleenex?
Yeah,
right
I
over
think
here.
when we first learned that she would never, have a normal life. When we first moved to the town, there was this little shop that had, like, dance outfits for little girls. And I just remember thinking, oh, I can't wait to have my little girl be able to take a dance class. And she'll never twirl like in a dress. Yeah. I don't think I'll ever get over that,
Yeah.
But she'll also, like, her dad will be able to hold her and carry her, and dance with her like that. So it's not the most important thing. Like, it's really not. I think, like, when your kids are really little, the limits are, like, there's no limits to what they can do or what they can be or who they're going to be. So when you're given a child and you're already told their limitations, it's not bad. Limitations aren't bad. It's just all at once. Like, whereas, like, your other kids, you kind of grow and be like, oop, they're not going to be an NFL player. Like I thought maybe they might be.
Yeah.
When they were little and throwing balls so good.
Yeah.
And that's, like, the older they get, you realize they have different gifts that maybe I didn't see. But these doors are going to be closed to them, and that's not bad. That's just what we're not meant to be. But having it start so little and so young, just knowing that they're not going to have a typical life or have typical experiences, that's hard.
Yeah.
Especially when everyone around you, is taking their daughter to dance or soccer, and you're taking them to therapy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there is so much more to, like, I'm so proud of my little girl. She has so many qualities that you just can't post about. Like, people aren't going to give her an award for being the most patient, when mom's trying to spoon feed her and she'd like a different bite of something else, but she can't tell me. Like, there's no earthly reward for that, but there's going to be heavenly ones.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Her crown will be very bejeweled.
I know. I always tell her, I'm just going to, in heaven, when we get to heaven, I'm going to get to wash your feet still, right?
I know, like, yes, the limits, that just has to, like, break your heart a little bit as a parent, but also the way that we get, and especially, like, your boys and your kids, like, their capacity for, like, loving, I think grew so much too. So even if she's limited, she's given so much to everyone around her that gets to know her too, because you could snuggle up to her and she's like peace. She just feels like peace,
Yeah, it is like having a newborn where, like, the outside world is so busy and so busy trying to accomplish things and do things, and then you have your newborn and the world is quiet inside your house and everything else outside is busy and frantic, and having her is like having that newborn peace. Like, that everybody feels peaceful around her because she doesn't have expectations and she's never said a mean word to anyone.
Yeah. It's like such a beautiful reminder too of, like, your value isn't through your doings. It's through you being a being, you know, and Avonlea just is a beautiful being, you know?
Yes.
So I just, I'm blessed to get to be her auntie.
She's blessed to have you.
So Avonlea, that season though of, like, I dare say depression. Like, dark.
I've never referred.
I know you haven't, but like you saying, like, I couldn't do the same things. Like, I had to. What would you say to, like, a parent or someone that's going through something right now where, like, maybe they don't see the like the end to it? It's just there's just.
I think reading, like, the symptoms is not an indication of the kind of life they're gonna live.
That's so good.
Like, they are going to be your best teacher, and their life is so valuable. They are they're going to teach you what's really important. And they're going to slow you down. And it's not, hard isn't bad. Hard is hard. And I think I would anticipate like, oh, when this happens, it's going to be really hard. And I don't know how I'm going to deal with it. But like, God doesn't give us grace for our imagination. Like the bad things that we're thinking are going to happen. Like if you go through it, you'll be able to go through it.
Yeah.
And if it never happens, then, that's just fear. And
that's so good. The culture too, I feel like we talked about this, but maybe you can share a little bit. I asked you about the YouTuber, and they ended up like getting an abortion pretty late in the pregnancy. And you didn't really have like a condemning like attitude. You are like, which is so just like, I just feel like that just is such a Holy Spirit like thing coming out of you, because I think when you have Amy's so humble, she hates hearing me brag about her, but when you have a child that has brought so much like just a gift to your home, but then you see people make that decision, and it's really sad, but to still have so much grace and like not any condemning. Like what would you say to Christians that like are really like feel really strong, like, and it is really sad, and obviously we're very pro-life here, but like just kind of share with people what your initial thoughts were.
Yeah, I felt really sad for them. It was my initial reaction. I think again, if I were to just look at the symptoms that Avonlea has, Rett syndrome, they are aware, but they can't talk, they can't walk, they can't use their hands, they have seizures, they can't swallow, feeding tubes, hospital stays. Like I would have probably thought like, why would I want to bring that into the world? Like, but that would have
the suffering, like almost thinking of them suffering.
Yes. But what, again, that is my like human capacity to understand a situation, and having actually live and experiencing that child who's so valuable, and she can't do anything. And everything she can do, she brings joy to everyone she sees. Like I'm biased, but like just everything she does is like intentionally like giving love. And you can't see that on a diagnosis or a paper. And I know every situation is unique. Like maybe not all special needs, and not even all Rett syndrome girls are that way.
Right.
But yeah, for that family, I just felt like, gosh, like when Jesus was on the cross, like he said, like, Father, forgive them because they don't know. That's how I felt. I felt like they just don't know. They don't know how good it can be. All they've been told is just the symptoms and a diagnosis, and they don't get to experience like that unconditional love, that like that beautiful soul. Like they're missing out. Like I just feel bad for them, is what I feel bad that they are going to miss that.
Yeah. That's so good, Amy. Now, before we move on to homeschooling, because there's just so many things, I could keep you here all day. But what is something that you wish more people knew about either just like Rett syndrome in general, or specifically having like a high needs child? Like what's something you think most people don't, other than obviously we know like they bring so much love and value to the home, and they're wonderful beings created in God's image anyways, but like something that maybe like most people wouldn't think of unless they've lived through.
It might be kind of repetitive, but I think something that Avonlea has just taught me is over and over again, like she teaches me like how true Jesus' words were about what is valuable in this life. It's not anything we can do. It's not anything, it's just that a pure heart is more valuable than accomplishing big things. Like Avonlea has never said an unkind word to anybody or hurt anybody. Imagine how peaceful you would feel if you've never hurt somebody, like, so I think just, you don't have to do anything to be valuable. You don't have to accomplish things. You're valuable because God made you. And she gives me dignity by letting me care for her. Like, you can have no abilities or skills and you can still be a gift to somebody else. Like, that is amazing. Only with God. Only with God could that be possible. Yeah. So I wish everyone could experience that.
Well, you're blessed to have her, but she's also blessed to have a mom and dad like you and Alex too, that love so well. And I think it would be really easy to be bitter, like when you see your child suffering. I think a lot of us, it would be really easy to get bitter and be upset about it, but you didn't allow that I
think it's really important when you have a special needs child to study them and know them, because if you are trying to fit them into the things that you think are going to make a valuable life, like, oh, let's sign you up for soccer, or things that brought you joy. If you're trying to fit them into that, circle, but they're a square peg, you're just going to be frustrated and you are going to get bitter because they can't do the things that brought you joy. I think you really, just like the rest of your kids, like any kid, I guess, maybe not just special needs kids, but if you don't study your child and know them and are trying to make them enjoy or do the things that they're not meant to do, that's just going to be a lesson in frustration.
Yeah.
For them so and true. For you.
Yeah.
I think. So I feel
Absolutely.
You're
a great student of your kids. I love that so much about you. I feel like I learned to be a better parent, listening to you talk about how your kids are wired, and you just take such good note of it and are so observant of that. So that makes so much sense. Speaking of your other kiddos too, so you always wanted to homeschool too.
I don't know if I'd say always, but I think once I had kids, I wanted to be their main influence for as long as I could. Not their only influence, but I wanted to know them. I wanted to be able to prioritize what I thought was important. That was what I really wanted.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, 6 kids and homeschooling sounds really overwhelming. So what keeps you and you thoroughly enjoy it too. So what tips would you have for a parent that's like, oh, I want to, I'm not sure. What would you tell someone that's considering homeschooling, and what's it done for you guys?
I mean, I think every parent has to know themselves and know their kids. And I don't think every person is meant to homeschool. And I don't think I think the reason I did it was because I wanted to know my kids and I wanted the time with them. They do go to a hybrid. So they go at least when we lived where we did, they go 2 days and then they were with me the rest. And a lot of days were really hectic. I will say that because they all have needs and they need attention. But I think the main thing when I started was someone shared with me, it's about the relationship with your kid. That's the main thing. And that is what I've found to be what I love about it is the relationship with your kid. I get to really know them. I get to really study them, and we get to share stories together. So anytime you share something, it bonds you to that person. So reading stories together, I think that we all get to experience it. And not everybody loves that, and then there's definitely parts that are just basically struggle. And just getting through.
What's the biggest homeschooling struggle you've had?
For me, it's
for
math. I have to get help with 5th grade math, ChatGPT. Teach me in.
Where is your math level?
It's 5th grade.
Yeah,
sure.
That's mine too.
Yeah.
No judgment here.
You cut that out.
Man. So, okay. No, that's good because I love that because a lot of people, I think there's so much pressure online, and moms do this unintentionally,
Yes.
where it's like, the public schools are this, and this is why I just pull all the kids out. And you're right. Not everybody has the personality for homeschooling. And you're right. If it destroys a relationship.
I think you might, even if you think I don't have the personality, you can grow. If you want to homeschool your kid, anybody. I mean, I shouldn't say that because there's just so many different personalities. But I do think that if you have the desire to, you can.
I also would say too, if you feel convicted by the Holy Spirit to homeschool, that's different than just feeling like everybody you follow or maybe your friend group is starting to homeschool.
Or your motivation is fear.
Yes.
Like,
I think good point.
I think there's just lots of reasons that maybe aren't the best motivation. But I think I'm so grateful because not everybody can either, I know there's moms who aren't able to and they'd love to.
Right. So. Yeah. The last question on homeschooling, I love this one. What are you hoping your children remember 20 years from now? Not about academics, but about life in your home.
I think the most important thing I've been able to do homeschooling is just reading the Bible, is just that Bible knowledge that will follow them wherever they go, whether they choose to reject it or, having that knowledge in their minds and hearts, I think I hope that's what they carry with them.
Tangibly. Now, just this is getting into the weeds a little bit, but I'm so curious for the parents listening and for myself. When they were young, did you guys just read straight from the Bible?
Yes.
How did they listen?
Yeah. I do it. Okay, I'll give you a little tip.
Okay.
I do it when they're eating every breakfast because their mouths are going, they're busy. But yes, we just read straight from the Bible.
That's a great idea. I have
done a couple of also books with like devotionals with them, but from as early as I could start, I would just read the Bible straight up.
No chaser.
No children's version either.
Wow. Okay.
They can do it.
Yeah.
They can, and it can be short. It can be, when they're eating is the best time.
Okay. I'm going to implement that.
When they're eating is the best time for them to learn because their mouths are full.
Yeah. Less talking.
Yeah.
Well, I could keep you guys here. I know we're running out of time, but I do want to ask one last question. There were so many that I think you already kind of answered. But I guess, okay, maybe two. And I love this one because you have said multiple times in our conversations when me with my limited perspective, not having a medical needs child to take care of, you've said like multiple times, like, I think people just expect that there will be no suffering in their life. And that's not biblical. That's not what we were promised. What has suffering taught you about the character of God that comfort never could have?
That's a really good question. I think comfort is overrated, and I love comfort.
Who doesn't?
But I think I'm not the one actually suffering. It's Avonlea, But so watching your kids suffer is so difficult.
Yeah.
I think God is always with the sufferer. Like, I can't explain. How could you explain like just the peace and like smiles on someone who can't explain their needs? And Avonlea is the most peaceful, happy person. Like, I really do think God gives special love to people who are suffering and to children, especially. I mean, in our family, that's what we've experienced. I can't speak for everybody, I can't speak for but I think you appreciate so much more what you do have. Like it gives you perspective. It gives you understanding. It gives you things that nothing else. The hard things give you. Yeah. That's got to be God's way, and I don't know why.
No, that is a great answer. Okay, my last one is, at the end of your life, what do you hope your children say they learned about Jesus from watching you?
Oh, gosh, that's a good question.
Probably tough for you because you're very humble in spirit. So like,
you're so silly. I think. Okay, tell me one more time what
do you think? What's the most important thing you want your kids to learn from you? Or the question phrased, learn about Jesus from you. But
okay, I think if my kids were to answer that, like when they're older, I would want them to know that Jesus' way leads to like a wholeness, we're so hollow without God's wisdom, Jesus' love, God's judgment. We were created by God and we were made for Him. And I hope that they would say, like, my mom tried to impart wisdom in our life, and I hope that they see that it's for their own good.
Yeah. I love that. Well, as your first practice child, I think that you do that for me.
Oh,
so I'm sure they would say that.
We're only 16 months apart.
That's right. Well, unless there's something, is there anything else you would want to tell someone listening before we wrap it up?
I don't think so.
Covered so much good stuff. Thank you so much for coming on. I know this is, it's not quite on the suffering level, but it's definitely out of Amy's comfort zone. So this was a gift of love. So thank you for coming on. I know that this added value. I just know it. So if you guys enjoyed it, please share with a friend. We're trying to grow the show. And I'm just saying thank you guys for hanging out with us. And Amy, thank you again so much for being on the BS podcast. We'll see you guys next time.